I truly do not take it for granted that I'm able to do this, to be out in these beautiful clouds, actually jogging on a little trail. I'm so grateful I can do this again. Definitely some hills. I clocked in at 3 miles. You probably can't see 3 miles. I'm just gonna sit here and kind of give you the rundown where I'm at. I hit 100 pounds lost a couple weeks ago, so right around my 9-month post-op anniversary, I hit 100 pounds, which just felt amazing. It's a really big accomplishment. I still can't believe that I've hit 100 pounds. And this has taught me a lot about myself and a lot about my determination and a lot about my habits. And it's also taught me a lot about what motivates me. I took this little quiz thing about what motivates me to do things. Some people are motivated by the approval of others. Some people have more of an intrinsic motivation. Anyway, super interesting. I know that I don't want to say I'm a rebel, but I'm usually a really good patient, and do what I'm supposed to, but also when I'm not being 100% of a good patient, it messes with my mind bad. So the second I started to veer even a little bit from my surgeon's food plan post-op, I really struggled mentally because I wanted to be 100%. I wanted them to be proud of me. I wanted them to be so impressed with me. And I did have a couple appointments where a couple of comments kind of cut me a little bit. And I don't know. So mentally, the whole follow-up thing, talking to other patients, I had some conversations with some other people who had surgery by the same surgeon that I did, and kind of hearing their experience, what their post-op life has looked like, what they do, what they don't do, kind of got me down on myself because I am not and never have been somebody who thrives on real black and white ways of thinking. Even, I don't know, I've just always kind of done things my own way, but also I'm a people pleaser, and so I also strive for perfection, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but also a rebel all at the same time. So I don't know if anybody can relate to this. I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but what that means is that, okay, so basically my surgeon is oh my gosh, 2 people have just pulled up on both sides of me. So my surgeon has been eat, from these list of foods, don't eat these foods. And essentially it's no sugar, no grains, no carbs, no potatoes, no fruit, basically no carbs. It's basically protein and fat and non-starchy vegetables. I kind of started veering off of that occasionally, 4 months after surgery. And there's some people who are 2 years out and they're no, I haven't had sugar in 2 years. I haven't had a piece of bread in 2 years. I haven't had a cracker in 2 years. And I'm gosh, I had popcorn at the movies and it was awesome. I had some dessert on my anniversary. I had some Christmas junk, gosh, I had a night where I like ate Cheez-Its. I have French fries every single time that my kids get French fries. And part of me feels like really ashamed of that. Like, I'm only 9 months out and already I'm like, partaking of some of these foods. And I've talked with my therapist in depth, and she has been an amazing resource, an amazing person to help me get through all of that shame and guilt that I've had. And, but it's, it's hard because there are so many different post-operative diets out there. I think for the most part, most bariatric surgeons will say, like, you got to focus on your protein, and for the rest of your life, you're really going to have to limit your carbs. And I can do that. Like, I can 100% be on program with that. But I have struggled because I haven't totally eliminated all sugar and all grains and all carbs and all starches. I haven't eliminated that 100%. I don't have it very often. In fact, the last month, there were only 2 times where I had a little tiny bit of sugar in a whole month. It's like a couple bites of something. It's not like it's a daily thing. And so I kind of, it's just mentally, it's hard because I'm not following 100%, but I'm still being successful. But then I start to beat myself up and I'm like, well, what if I'm not as successful as I could be if I was doing this? But then you start to ask yourself, like, as my therapist will say, like, are you trading in one eating disorder for another? Are you trading in one mental illness for another mental illness? I don't know. And then my last follow-up appointment, I was telling the nurse practitioner this, and she was awesome. She said, we don't want fearful Stephanie, because some of the comments that I see for some people are like, well, I don't eat this because I'm too afraid of gaining the weight back, or I'm too afraid that I'm going to fail, or I'm too afraid of this. And she's like, we don't want fearful Stephanie. We want joyful Stephanie. And that kind of gave me the courage to say, it's okay if what I eat every single day doesn't get like an A+ 100% stamp of approval from my surgeon. Would I lose weight and probably lose the maximum amount of weight possible if I did that? Yes, I would. But there's a lot of things that I am doing, and I'm doing very well. And that's why I have been successful. But because I take a few liberties here and there, that's probably why maybe I haven't been like as successful as I could have been, but I'm also still really happy with how successful I've been. So mentally, you can see, like, it is still a mental game, but it's like different. It's different than just being like so depressed all the time that you're, gosh, like quickly approaching 300 pounds. So let me tell you a typical day for me. I get up, I go for my walk. What that does for me, that 30 minutes of exercise and loud music, it was the switch that got me out of stress eating. Stress eating when I'm stressed has always been a bad habit. And once you find that you can like eat a little something, oh, I'm full. An hour later, eat a little something, oh, I'm full. And then next thing you know, it just gets easier and easier to overeat. And I could tell that I was starting to kind of head towards dangerous territory. And so I said, I've got to figure something out, because I'm not doing well with eliminating these foods 100% of the time. Even though I know that that is what my surgeon wants, I'm so far proving that I am not being successful at doing that. So I've got to find a different way to be successful. So I just said, I'm going to start walking every single day. And I have walked every single day. And, I've put in the miles, and I get up and I get my 12,000 to 15,000, sometimes 20,000 steps. I mean, it's very common for me to have like 15,000 to 20,000 steps in a day. That has taken all of the stress that I feel, and it just like processes it. And so I'm not as munchy when I get to the end of the day. I'm not reaching for the food. I've also been able to fast for a lot longer. So most of the time I am only eating like one large meal and maybe like a second snack. And my surgeon like wants me to only eat one meal a day. Um, I have done that sometimes. Most of the time, I still want like a little something after my main meal. So usually I will have, like today I had chicken salad, and it was a yummy chicken salad that I made from cooking some chicken leg quarters in the crock pot. So it was like a lot of dark meat, and I put like mayo, sour cream, a little bit of vinegar, some monk fruit or allulose, some powdered like artificial sweetener, poppy seeds. I had a couple grapes in there, made this big chicken salad, and that was so good. And that's what I had for lunch. And then at dinner time, we did like breakfast for dinner, so I had some sausage and I had a couple potatoes, like not full potatoes, but I had like some breakfast potatoes. That was it. Just went for my 3-mile run. I'm not gonna have anything else to eat for the day. So I'm getting in that long fast, and then my eating window is like 2 to 3 hours. Like that's when I'm eating, and then the rest of the time I'm just drinking fluids. So that's great. I'm prioritizing my sleep. So I'm dealing with the stress that has in the past caused me to overeat and eat the wrong foods. I'm really focusing on saving those moments of like indulgence for like the times when it really matters. And sometimes the times that it really matters might be when I am having a really, really, really bad day. And I think that's okay. Like if that's how I'm going to self-soothe every once in a while, I think that that's okay, as long as it like stops, it's a one-time sort of thing. And I feel like I've figured that out. So check, we're good with that. I'm getting the sleep, I'm getting the exercise, I'm getting my fluids, getting the fasting in. I'm mostly eating fats and proteins, but I do have a few carbs here and there. And I think with the amount of activity that I'm doing, I think that that's okay. I think that when you have the surgery, it can be a really slippery slope to start eating the wrong kinds of foods, because yeah, the first couple months in, you can't eat a piece of bread, but 9 months out, you could probably have like a half a slice of pizza, and then an hour later you could probably have some popcorn, and you could keep pushing that boundary. And I think that that's how people either kind of like hit a wall with their success, or they start to go the other direction. And I'm not ready to hit my wall. I still have about 25 pounds left that I still want to lose, and maybe even more. I don't know, but I'm feeling great with where I'm at right now. I could stay here and be like really, really happy with staying here for the rest of my life. But anyway, gosh, it is a lot easier of a mind game than feeling like, the binge cycles and all of that, and not being successful. But it's still like a mental game, like still finding like peace with myself and peace with the decisions that I'm making and trusting myself. That's been a process. And I guess like I know that I'm going to be successful, and it might take me a little bit longer than if I would have been 100% with my surgeon's plan. But either way, I'm still going to be successful. I'm still going to get to where I want to be. And back to, I kind of went off on a tangent, but the things that motivate me, or the things that help me like be accountable are, I'm like a question asker. So I want the data. I didn't really know that about myself until I took this quiz, and then I'm like, yeah, totally. Like if somebody tells me to eliminate my carbs, I'm going to say, well, why? And then I'm going to like deep dive, which I do, deep dive as to why, like what happens on the inside when I'm eating carbs or fruit or fructose and all of that, which is one thing that I love that my surgeon like is very knowledgeable about. Like he knows all of that stuff that some people say, oh, a calorie is a calorie. False. A calorie, I mean, yes, it's a unit of measurement, but calories are not all created equal. Well, I understand that now. Like I have asked enough questions. I kind of, I know why I want to stay away from sugar. I know why I want to stay away from fructose and especially high fructose corn syrup. Like I understand that. So there's like an internal motivation for me to do that, but it takes asking a lot of questions. However, I know that if I go out and like burn enough, sugar out of my blood, I know that at some point if I have more carbs on a particular day, I know that it's going to be okay. Now, if I'm eating the carbs and I'm not getting the activity in, then we have a different problem on our hands. But that's why I'm like, well, I'm going to have a couple French fries because I know that the amount of French fries that I'm eating compared to like the amount of activity that I'm doing are going to kind of like balance each other out. And it takes way more than you would think to make up for those carbs, which is why even when I am having carbs, I mean, I'm still keeping it in like the keto range, like 20 to 30 grams a day, 50 at the most, like 50 carbs. You can have just a couple of French fries and still be under your 40 to 50 carbs. So don't get it twisted that I'm like having like an entire large French fry to myself. It's, a few on the drive home. But I'm very strategic about it, and I kind of feel like I mentally understand my limits. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that is an empowering place to be. But it has taken a long time to get here. So anyway, this is a very long update. Thank you so much for watching. I will wrap it up. I'm just going to have these little like van vlogs, vlogging from the van. But thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe if you like content about weight loss, VSG, and just trying to figure out how to reach your potential as like a person while being a wife and a mom and all that good stuff. Go ahead and subscribe before you leave. And it does help my channel out when you subscribe and give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment. And I love to respond to comments, especially if you are on this journey or thinking about having surgery. Let me know where you're at, what you've done to be successful, so we can have that conversation down in the comments. And I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Happy 100 pounds to me, and I will see you in the next vlog. Bye.